Hello and welcome back to Sprite Guard Plays HyperRogue. We are getting very close to our destination, and I believe I see a minefield over here, so we are going to see if we can make our way in. No mines here. One mine. We don't know which it is, so we're going to back off and find a different door. We don't really care which one we go through, and we want to be able to start clearing as quickly as possible, so we also, of course, don't want to run the risk of having to guess. There we go. So now we're going to start just seeing if we can open up an area. We want a pretty big area that we can kind of wander around freely. And so I'm going to start out just kind of exploring along these kind of walls of unknown. And then as we kind of get a little bit more information, we can kind of expand this out a little bit. So I'm thinking we want to kind of spread out this way. Basically take things very easy to begin with. And we're going to want to start gathering up some orbs of friendship. And so we actually want to kind of mark... We don't want to pick them up yet. We just want to mark where they are. And so I'm going to put a dead orb. Let's see. I think if we put one here, that should lead us. Let's see. We want to be able to get back to the crossroads and kind of have our base of operations be there. And so I actually may want... Let's see... May want to put another dead orb or move that dead orb because I do want it to be as easy as possible to find my way from one place to another. And it looks like we've actually had a monster set off a mine over there, which shouldn't get too much in our way. Now, we do have kind of the minefield is going to show us where we've been. And that's very useful, but I'm a little bit worried that as we kind of expand outward more, we're going to have fewer and fewer narrow hallways to follow, and more big open areas. And so I think even as I kind of find my way to Orbs of Friendship, I want to... let's see, that's a little bit frustrating. We may have to pick up that Bomberbird egg in order to get that Orb of Friendship, which isn't too bad, but I think it will make our task harder, so we definitely want to delay that as much as possible. And we're just going to kind of start expanding out. And one of the things, basically the idea that kind of started this was wanting to just see how much we can find while staying relatively near the crossroads. And so we're actually straying a little bit further than we probably need to, just based on kind of my estimates of how much space we're actually going to have to explore, which I have not worked these things out very thoroughly. So let's see, we can see our dead orb from here. So I'm going to put a dead orb there, and then I'm going to skirt along here a little bit, explore out this way. The presence of mines and kind of my not really wanting to take a lot of risks is actually going to make us have to go a little bit further afield than we would otherwise. And so it may actually happen that I will decide, okay, now we need to start using induction and start really working things out. But kind of the core idea that I wanted to explore was just how much stuff is so close together in this game that I don't even really recognize because I'm always kind of going off in straight-ish lines. And so I don't really see just how much stuff there is available in a fairly narrow area. And it looks like that's going to dead end for us. We could probably continue expanding that outward. I want to actually kind of make my way back to the crossroads now. So I want to, let's see, we have one there and one there, and we should be able to see both of them if we put a dead orb there. And then just going to wind my way back towards the crossroads. There's our other dead orb. Can we see them from each other? It looks like just barely can't, and so I'm going to put one kind of in between there because we're actually going to want to start exploring out this way now. And we can just keep kind of making our way back to the crossroads, and we will always have new directions to wander in. And because of the way this game works, we're kind of never going to run out. And so that's actually going to play an even bigger role once we get all of the orbs of friendship that we need. And that's going to be a dead end. So we can't quite make our way over to that one just yet. We have two over there, so we may actually want to start using logic to find our way over there. But we have all of this area over here we can explore. And now I'm almost thinking, am I going to be able to find my way back? So here is one of our dead orbs. There's another one. We kind of have these branching paths. There's the crossroads right there. And of course there's still all of these directions to go off in as well. And there we go, we've found another orb of friendship already. And it just kind of amazes me. Like, we just go a couple of steps and oh hey, there's more stuff. That's one of the things that really appealed to me in this game. And one of the things that I really love about it, and kind of I continue to get a thrill from that. It's like the spaciousness of this game has a special kind of thrill to it that just really excites me and keeps me wanting to play this game. And we're actually getting a lot of progress in just kind of finding out where mines are and kind of clearing stuff away. And now I'm going back to, okay, do I know how to find my way back? And the answer is yes. I want to clear a route to that. We already had a route to that orb of friendship. So, okay. So I do want to make sure we can find our way back from this one above me. So I am going to put a dead orb here-ish. And then we're going to try and clear, I believe I saw one kind of over this way. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if we can get to that one. And it looks like we're going to run into a dot wall. So probably aren't going to find our way over to that one. But hey, we've actually found another crossroads. And we're going to actually want to mark that as well, because that's going to be pretty valuable to us. So let's see, how far... If we put one here, we can certainly see both. And then, let's see, actually we have some clearing we can do over here. Okay, I thought maybe we could get to that orb of friendship, but it is actually not that important. So, I have lost track of how many orbs of friendship we have available to us, but I think we're getting to the pretty close to the requisite number. I believe we don't actually need 7. 7 is just kind of the ideal number. So now that we can find our way to all of these, we actually want to pick up 6 of them. And we may want to even pick them up one at a time, just to make things simpler for us. So I'm going to head back to the original crossroads, try and find my way there. And I'm pretty turned around at this point. Like, this is, I believe, the new crossroads that we've found. And so I'm going to try and figure out what the route is back to... Let's see, is this where we started, or is this just another auxiliary crossroads? It's so hard to tell. I don't think it ultimately matters all that much. We really just need one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an orb of friendship. Let's see. what am I going to do? So we want to make basically a ring of mines. And kind of the easiest way to do that, I would like to be able to kind of isolate a couple of mines that already exist and that we know where they are. But I'm also kind of thinking that that may actually not really be worth it. Okay, so we know where these two mines are. So we can actually get started with that, and we can use these dead orbs to find our way back to that. So we're going to head over here to our first Orb of Friendship and open that up. And now we're just going to make our way back over to these two mines over here. And it may actually be worthwhile to put a dead orb right on that cell just to kind of give us an idea of where it is. So now we need to get our bird into kind of the right position. And it's a little bit tricky to get near these guys. So we're just going to have to kind of maneuver him around and hope that I understand his AI well enough. I think what we need to do is probably pull him across from where we actually want him to be, like get him past where we want him, and then try and chase him down. And he's actually kind of going off in an uncooperative direction. And so now we're going to have to kind of try and pull him again and see if we can work with his AI. Let's see if we... There we go. Okay. And we'll sacrifice him there and mark that space. And basically do that again. So now we're going to try and find our way to another Orb of Friendship. I believe there are some over this way that we can find. I don't know how many I actually dug up. And that's kind of... We may end up finding, oh, we're actually a little bit short, we need to get more. And it's going to be very difficult to actually check that, verify that, just because we already have this kind of really branchy area that we've carved out. And it's already becoming kind of a maze and a little bit difficult to navigate. Looks like there's another one down this way that I think I should probably mark with a dead orb. It looks like there's two more down that way. And so I want to head back to where we are building our thing. And we want to build a ring, all but one, and then we want to get in the middle of the ring and kill the last bird. And so we probably actually want like a handful of birds going into that. Probably actually more than enough birds going into that. Nope. Not helpful. That's helpful, yes. There we go. So we probably actually want a crowd of birds so that when we get into the middle, we will have one that we can sacrifice. But before we do that, we need to figure out where we are going to go for to get whatever it is that we are going to end up using to escape. That can be an orb of teleport, ether, or winter. And actually, an orb of teleport we could even use... I'm going to smash these so that we know that we have been here. An orb of teleport we can actually use to get into a ring, and so that could give us more flexibility in what we actually end up doing. And getting rid of these mirages is actually turning out to be a little bit tricky. And I'm now actually worried that we may have lost our way. I was trying to kind of stay... Okay, I see where we've been. I see where our minefield is. So I am going to try and be a little bit more vigilant about laying dead orbs. And I'm going to kind of try and put them leading, as much as possible, pointing towards the things we need. So here's an orb of ether. we can use that to escape our ring. And I want to make sure that our ring is actually, we can get to it once we come in here. We're going to have to find our way, and it's just over this way. So I'm going to, let's see, do I want to put a dead orb onto it? I'm thinking that we might not want to. So this is a 4, right? Yes, okay. So we know that that is, all 4 of those are mines. And we may actually want to even clear out a little bit of area around this so that it's a little bit more obvious, because there's not really any harm in having it be really obvious. And then we want to probably actually put a dead orb, a couple of dead orbs in the doorway so that we can see where we're going. So we've already been down towards this dry forest. Let's take a couple of steps over this way. There is a dead orb. I'm going to be putting down dead orbs in pairs, and so having single dead orbs like this isn't going to be too troublesome, but it's still something that I'm kind of concerned about, that I want to be aware of, and I want to clean them up as much as I can, just because it will be one more thing that we don't have to think about. So I don't want to go too far afield, because we need to stay within kind of a range where we can carry our orbs back, and we can actually gather up all of our orbs. And so I don't want to go too far away, but we are going to have to go a little ways in order to find everything we need. And it looks like we're going to be pulling Greater Demon, which is going to be pretty problematic. And I'm not really sure how we're going to deal with that. We can't quite get out of his aggro range fast enough. Let's see, this is an Orb of Flash. I think we can actually, I don't remember, but I think we can use the Orb of Flash to kill this Greater Demon. And so that is what I'm going to attempt to do. And that's an Orb of the Fish, which we don't need. So I'm going to come back over this way, and it looks like we're going to have to fight a lesser demon, who is going to make it a little bit hard for us to fight that greater demon, who I now don't see, which is a little bit frustrating. But I believe we can actually get around this guy if we do things. No, we have to kill him now. There we go. Okay, so I don't know actually now where that greater demon is, and I'm a little bit nervous. I'm kind of wondering, like, was there some kind of glitch that made the greater demon turn into a lesser demon? Or is it just lurking somewhere off camera? And I think that the second is probably much more likely. So let's see, I'm going to pick this one up and put kind of an arrow there. So now we have a sandworm coming, and that is going to really put a, really kind of limit what we're able to do. We don't have a lot of ways of killing it. If we could find an Orb of the Dragon, we could use that, but we haven't actually seen any, I think, in this entire episode. And we're not really getting the, orbs that we need, and we're kind of running into... Oh, okay, we might be able to use an Orb of Shielding. Let's see, Orb of Ether... We might be able to use an Orb of Shielding, but it's so far away that I'm kind of worried that it's not actually going to be that useful. So now what I'm actually thinking of doing is basically packing up and moving on. Because, oh yeah. Okay, so I think what we need to do actually here is run away and live to fight another day. Because the sandworm is just getting so out of hand. And we have now found our Orb of Teleport that we needed. And so that's kind of re-incentivizing me to try and find some way of dealing with this sandworm. And what's occurring to me is actually these guys, they are finite in length. And so I think what we just need to do is get far enough ahead of him that we can put down our double dead orbs so that we can show ourselves the way home, and just try and lure this guy away from our construction site. What's the end game of that? I don't really know if there is an end game. I think that leading this guy away, maybe we can lead him far enough away that that we can get out of his aggro range. Especially if we kind of wedge him in, like around this sulfur lake. Or if let's see, we can't really use this Land of Eternal Motion now. It looks like the dead orbs are surviving underneath our sandworm. So I think the thing to do is just to carry on and just hope that we can figure something out. Let's see. He'll activate. If I step down and to the right, he'll activate. And then if I step down and to the right again, he'll move to the heptagon to his right. And then I'll step down and he'll activate. And then I need to step away and he'll chase me. But then I'll have another turn. Looks like I might actually be able to get around him at this point. So let's give that a shot. But this demon is going to make that not work out. So we have to deal with that. And it looks like looping around this lake of sulfur is now going to be our best option. And we're going to have to fight these demons pretty aggressively. We're going to have to use the timing trick of just walking up to them while they're not active and killing them. Because I think that's the only way we can fight them aggressively enough. And I mean, there's no reason not to use that beyond just, it's one more thing that I have to think about. I'm not thinking of it as like, oh, we have to fall back on this. I'm thinking more like, okay, we have to remember to do this thing because that's how we're going to get through it. And we got through it. So that worked out. So now the hope is that we can get out of his aggro range. And we have our Orb of Teleport marked out. And we have our Orb of Ether marked out. And there is the greater demon that I was worried about. And so now I'm trying to remember what it was. We had an Orb of Flash that we wanted to use against him. And we no longer have that. And we don't actually know that it would have worked anyway. And I'm kind of thinking, do we kind of do the same thing of trying to get him out of aggro range? Or do we try and find another entrance to hell, fight a bunch of lesser demons? Let's see, how many lesser demons have we actually killed? These are not in any order. Okay, here we go. Lesser demons, 29. So we actually only need to kill one more. So that's actually starting to look like a really good option. Let's see. It looks like we might not be able to get past him if we try and go around him right here. This is kind of too narrow to get around him, but we should be able to lure him out here and then... Not quite. Still a little too narrow. But there we go. So now we're on the other side of him. We want to find our way over to... I don't actually know where he came from. I see actually a hell down here. So let's hope that we see a lesser demon before we see a greater demon. Just kind of hoping, and we can see the minefield we've been in, but I'm still going to lay a couple of dead orbs to mark the way and head into... Okay, so we've actually seen a greater demon before we saw a lesser demon, so that's problematic. And we're not actually able to get around this guy very easily, but there we go. Now we've managed it. And I now see a lesser demon kind of in the direction that we were already coming from. So we're going to have to loop around a little bit. And I would like to get the other greater demon on screen at the same time, but that's not going to happen. So we can kill this guy and just kind of hope for the best with regards to the other guy. We might be able to get him off screen and out of aggro range while we do this, and it looks like we're going to manage to do that. So now what are we going to do? So now we are going to start sacrificing birds really seriously. And we're going to have to remember, so this way, Orb of Ether. This way, Orb of Teleport. We want to get the Orb of Teleport, then the Orb of Ether, because we need the Orb of Teleport. We only need the Orb of Teleport to last us to here. Or even actually here, if we can remember where to do it. And so I actually do want to keep this door marked so that we can find our way back, because we're going to have to go pretty far away in order to find some birds to sacrifice. Now, I'm imagining that bomber bird eggs should start hatching any minute now. I'm surprised we have not seen any hatch yet. I think we may have seen one. I'm not sure. These are actually dead orbs, I just realized. So we don't actually want to lose our way back just yet. I want to make sure that we know our way. Really gonna mark things out as clearly as I can, because I just don't want to take any risks. So from one of these, we should be able to see... it looks like this may actually be where we got the one that the ones that we already used. And so we're actually going to probably have to get rid of these dead orbs so that we don't confuse ourselves again. And there actually I see 2 orbs of friendship, and I remember commenting that this one we were going to have to get a pick up an egg in order to pick up this orb of friendship, which is fine. Doesn't actually have that big of an effect. So let's take these 2 over here. And we have the Orb of Teleport. I have to remember that. And so we can actually be a little bit more careful with how we build our little hut of mines. And we don't actually have to wall ourselves in. We can just wall ourselves out and then teleport onto it and then use the Orb of Ether to walk off. So let's see, that guy's going to be on the wrong cell, still on the wrong cell, not anywhere close to the right cell, going to have to retry. Come on, over this way. The problem is that I have to kind of predict where they're going to go, because if they're on a correct cell, if they're on one of the 3 cells that I want them to be on, then they're going to move off of it on the next turn. But there we go. We actually got that one to go right where we want it. And now, probably the same strategy. We want to pull this guy onto the center cell or a nearby cell, and they will not come that close to you. Okay, that's the wrong place. And you're now going to hover around, and of course, not actually move next to me, because they won't, I don't think they ever will move next to me, so I have to keep that in mind. It's really tricky. It is really tricky to kind of maneuver these guys to where I want them. I'm almost kind of hoping that some bomber birds hostile bomber birds start hatching, just so that we kind of have something that's easier to control, because those, I believe, use ordinary bird AI, and should just come straight after us. So I'm going to take a break here. I want to see how long I've been going. Oh my goodness, we've been going for half an hour. So yeah, I'm going to take a stretch break, and when we come back in the next portion of this episode, we're going to continue kind of trying to piece together this little hut of mines, see if we can get our bomber birds to fly in the right place, or see if we can get some bomber bird eggs to hatch. And then we will go and pick up our orbs. We want to get the orb of teleport before the orb of ether, and then we will get our achievement. We are very close to getting the achievement that we want, and we're just having a little bit of trouble wrangling some bomber birds, and we're actually getting some timer ghosts now because of that. Oh, you're very close. There you go. Alright, now we get out there. Now getting the... Oh my goodness, there's a lot of timer ghosts after us. This is actually... This could end up... This could be really bad. That's a lot of ghosts. So, okay, so they can't actually, move too adjacent to each other, I don't think. Oh my goodness. Oh, we were so close. That's so frustrating. Well, we were very nearly there, and I made a miscalculation about how long it would take, and how many timer ghosts would show up. That's a really disappointing place for that to end, and we're barely a few minutes into the episode. I'm really not happy with that. Let's take a look at it. I was on a hexagon, got in the pincher position. Any kind of monster will give you an instant game over in that position, which is one of the more frustrating aspects of this game. It's something that you need to always be aware of. And I'm not sure that I had an option, but it's something that I maybe could have been paying more attention to. I wonder, can we... Okay, we can actually pan, but not with the not without the game over screen being up. So we can pan around and look at what we had set up. We had 6 of our 7 mines put down, and I want to look if there was, like, maybe there was an area where it would have been better. Like, if we'd known, you know, how to get into this area, it might have been better to start building in there. We might have gotten things done a little bit faster. I believe we still had bomber bird, or not bomber birds, what am I thinking of? Orbs of Friendship. I believe we still had some marked out that we could have gone to, but I don't actually remember that. We explored quite a lot of the world, and we actually have quite a lot available to us to kind of scroll around here. So I'm going to actually open that up so we can take a better look at it. So, okay, so where were the Orbs of Friendship that we were actually working on? I remember we had like a new crossroads over, okay, so here's one of them. I mean, okay, so I went into this thinking about how close together everything is in this game. I think we could have gotten that one by the Living Cave as well. I think we could have gotten into that. But I just keep being reminded over and over again just how insanely close together everything can be. And then you can have so much stuff in such a small area. And over here we have our markers. I believe, what was this actually showing us? I think this was showing us to another crossroads. And we had, or actually I think it may have been in showing us back to back from over here, because I remember we were digging around for orbs of friendship for quite a while. One thing that I don't really know is if you get more and more farmer bird eggs, I think the mine pattern gets denser. I'm not sure of that, though. And so I would be interested to see if Rings of 7 actually becomes something that you can find in the wild. I'm not sure how exactly. I guess if you can dig out around one, figure out where it is, it would be very tricky to logic that out, but then you could teleport into the middle and ether out, and not have to worry about bomber birds. But, I wish that the eggs had started hatching, because I know that there were some eggs that we had spawned and that had been sitting off screen for quite a while. We had not been actually into the deeper parts of the minefield in quite a while, so a lot of these eggs had a chance to hatch and they didn't. And so that ended up really slowing down our work here, and just... there's so many ways that things could have gone slightly differently. But that's how things ended. So I hope that you will join me in the next episode. I'm not sure what we will do. We will try and do something. We will try to survive. We will try to avoid timer ghosts. So that's how it ended. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.